implications of the culture, the hip-hop culture, the entertainment industry, the music industry, and life in general. We're going to be going through a few things, praise God, that prayerfully is something that you need, something that you want. Okay. All right, so just in case you didn't know, if you don't have a Bible, you will need a Bible. Bible app, physical Bible, your neighbor's Bible, your neighbor's phone, some type of Bible. We're going to be doing some reading. Amen. If you want to take notes, also you can get a pad and paper. You need a Bible, raise your hand. You need a Bible or want a Bible.
Okay.
I'm cool.
That's cool.
All right, very good.
What you gonna do?
We will be doing some reading. You want to take notes, you have to have it. Also, a CD of this PowerPoint will be available after the lesson on tomorrow. This entire PowerPoint will be available on a data CD. You can take it, download it to your computer, and save it to your phone or whatever you want to do. This whole lesson will be available. This is a different lesson than we just previously did at our Awaken Revival. Some of the points are the same, but the vast majority of these slides and these points are going to be a little different. They're going to be a little different. So I am going to go through, for the sake of clarity, we do have to lay some groundwork in Scripture. Before we get into the stuff that I really came to hear, we got to lay some groundwork in Scripture. Amen. In Scripture first. Amen. All right, the second thing, if you have a cell phone, put it on vibrate or silent. If a cell phone goes off and it ain't Jesus, we're going to sing Jesus on the main line. Tell y'all know that song? Yeah. Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. You can call him up and tell him what you want. Amen. So if you have one and it's not on vibrate, praise God, and it rings, we're going to ask you to answer it because it might be Jesus. So if you don't think Jesus is going to call you, you're going to put it on vibrate. That's the only reason it should rain tonight, praise God. I'm talking. Amen.
I like my stuff. I have an iPhone, not Samsung.
All right. So are you guys ready?
Yes, sir.
Are you really ready?
Yes.
All right, so you're going to give me a few minutes tonight. We're not going to get to all the exciting things tonight, but we do have to lay the foundation so you can have some type of understanding of what we're talking about and where we're coming from. All right, we're talking about the implications of the culture. Okay. Implication, the definition of implication is the conclusion that can be drawn from something, although it is not explicitly stated. Something implied is suggested, but not direct. It is implicit. To imply something is to very strongly suggest truth or the existence of something that is not expressly stated. So there are some things that are implied in the culture that is not evident on the surface. There are some things that are embedded inside of the music, the clothes, the artists, the people that we love. There are some things that are implied that we need to know about before we go any further with this. If you got your Bibles, turn to Genesis chapter 3. It's doing it twice. It's doing it twice. Genesis chapter 3. Okay. Genesis chapter 3. I'm going to take a few minutes to walk through the scripture. I'm going to read verses 1 through 7. Okay. It says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, have God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. For God doth know that the day ye eat thereof, your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also to her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked, and sewed fig leaves together, and made themselves aprons. So what this is saying, that God created Adam and Eve, put them in the midst of the garden, and said they had access to everything except for the tree in the middle of the garden, which was the tree of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil. And an enlightened being, the serpent, who apparently understood the power in the tree, deceived Eve into eating of the fruit of the tree. And then she gave to Adam, who the Bible says was with her, and the eyes of both of them became open, and they understood not just the good but the evil around them, and that they both were naked, and they were afraid and ashamed, and they hid themselves from God and sewed fig leaves around them, because they understood now what God was protecting them from. All right, everybody understand that? God gave them everything but this one thing, but they were deceived by this enlightened being, and he twisted the word of God, and their eyes became open. This is where you're going to hear this later about the third eye. All right. The third eye is simply talking about a higher level of consciousness that is not derived from the conscious or subconscious mind. You will hear it in the 5%ers. They use it a lot, and you hear when you hear to talk about Illuminati, that those people are operating with what is called the third eye. It's really derived from the third eye of Osiris, meaning an enlightened one. So their eyes became open, and they saw more and experienced more than what they should have seen. So in Genesis 3 and 15, God begins to divvy out punishment. Let's read that. Genesis 3, chapter 15. Genesis 3, verse 15. Thank you. I said chapter 15? Amen. Thank God for the listening ear. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. What he's saying, God is saying, I'm going to make the woman and the seed of the woman enemies with the enemy and the seed of the enemy. Mm-hmm. So the enemy is going to bruise his heel, and the seed of the woman is going to crush his head. Now this happened through Jesus Christ. That's right. When Jesus Christ came and he was crucified, that was the equivalent to a bruise to the heel. But when he rose again with all power in his hands, that was a crushing blow to the head of Satan. All right, how many know he rose with all power in his hands? So that was a crushing blow to the head of Satan. But what happened is the enemy began to work his plan to try to keep the Christ from coming to bruise his head. So we're going to fast forward to Genesis chapter 6. Genesis chapter 6. Genesis chapter 6. I'm going to read verses 1 through 6. Genesis chapter 6. I'm going to read verses 1 through 6. Are you there? Yeah. Amen. And it came to pass when the men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and the daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men and bare children to them. The same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. And God saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of the hearts was only evil continually, and it repented the Lord that he made man on the earth, and it grieved him in his heart. Amen. Simply saying that the sons of God came down and had sex with the daughters of men, had hybrid babies that became giants. Fallen angels came down and had sex with the daughters of Eve, and they made hybrid babies which were called Nephilim, or called giants, or men of renown. And these giants began to multiply, and the thoughts of men became evil continuously. Continuously, the thoughts of men became evil, because the sons of God, which is interpreted as angels, the fallen angels, came down and began to mess around with the seed of the woman. Fallen spirits, demons, so to speak, love to inhabit and deal in flesh. The first thing a spirit wants to do when it wants to gain control is access the flesh of a man. So they came down and they began to multiply these giants on the earth. And this is simply, if you can see that, the translation is, sons of God, Ben Ha Elohim, which is angels, came down and had sex with the daughters of men, which is the daughters of Adam, and formed giants, or Nephilim. All right, God saw the wickedness was evil continuously, but he saw one man named Noah and his family. He saved them out of the wickedness, told them to build an ark. Y'all heard that story? Yeah. Build an ark, grab the animals 2 by 2 in your family, and go into the ark. He said, I'm going to destroy the earth, because the thoughts of men became wicked continually. So he flooded the earth. When I read this story, or when I was told in the Bible study in Sunday school class when I was younger, I was just told that it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. But if you go to Genesis chapter 7, it says the great wells of the earth opened up, and the cloud opened up, so the water came from under and the water came from over. That's right. You see, God knew that these giants were going to take more than a little bit of rain. So he flooded the earth, and the great wells came from under, and the earth poured out rain from over, and every living thing under the face of the earth, on the face of the earth, was destroyed. So if you're one that is really theological and thinks deep, and you say, well, fish swim deep in the ocean now. Why were the fish destroyed? Because when God did this, God made the depth any deeper than anything he made could handle. Come on. God, he wasn't caught by surprise. He didn't say, I'm just going to let it rain and the fish are going to go down to the bottom and they're going to survive. God destroyed everything by his purpose. Yes, he did. But something happened after he destroyed the earth. The great flood destroyed it. They came back out and they began to feel the promise and multiply on the earth again. But the hearts of men were still seeking after what they were seeking after in the beginning. They wanted that knowledge. They wanted that to know this, and they wanted to be that. So the thoughts of men were continually evil, and they began to seek after these things that God did not tell them they could have. And with each generation, it got worse and worse and worse. The hearts of the men became evil, and they began to seek after this until we get to a place where they were going to build what is called the Tower of Babel by the king named Nimrod. A king named Nimrod wanted to build a tower that reached back up to heaven because he feigned himself to be a god like the true and living God. But what God had to do is that he had to come down and confound the language, because what they were trying to do, they were going to be able to accomplish, lest God stop what they were trying to do. So you might ask yourself, why? Who is Satan, first of all? Do y'all know who Satan is? Yes. Raise your hand if you know who Satan is. And you might ask yourself, well, why is Satan trying to stop God from doing what it is that God does? One thing we must understand, that Satan was once called Lucifer. He was in the heaven. He worshiped the Lord. He was the chief worshiper in heaven, and he led the angelic host into worshiping God. And he was beautiful, and he was perfect in all his ways. But one day, he got lifted up in pride, and he wanted the worship that he gave to God. So he led a rebellion with 1/3 of the angels in heaven, and God kicked him out of heaven. Him and the angels that followed him. Now watch this. He fell from heaven, but his job assignment never changed. His name changed to Satan, or adversary, but the Bible talks about in Isaiah, he was built with vials in him, and he was built to worship, and he was built to make music and melodies. He was so perfect that he led the angels into worshiping God. He was called Lucifer, or the son of the morning, or the first sound to be heard in the morning. And he led the angels in the morning, that when God was ready for worship, Lucifer automatically knew it, and he just got up and began to worship God instinctively, and the angels worshiped God with him. But he got lifted up in pride, and he said, I want the worship that I'm giving to God. And the Lord kicked him out of heaven. His name changed to Satan, or adversary. He's the abomination of desolation. And that he is someone that was created to worship, that is not doing what he was created to do. Oh God. But he had the attention of 1/3 of the angelic host that fell with him. And these are the fallen angels, or the Nephilim, that have come down to make torment of the people on the earth. We tracking, you follow me? All right, so he was created to worship, but he wanted the worship that he gave to God. So we find even now that the enemy's trying to get back to the place where he was, but he's trying to get the worship for himself. And this is where the music comes in. This is where the clothing and the entertainment industry comes in, and that he knows if he comes and says, I'm Satan, I want you to worship me, he won't get much worship. So what he does is he puts implications and innuendos inside of the music, and he puts it to a rhythm and a rhyme, because he knows that people love the beat before they even listen to the words. All right. You ever heard a song and all you can hear was that tight beat? He could have been cussing your mama up and down. You wouldn't have known it because the beat was so nice. And he's putting messages, subliminal messages, inside of the music. Let's go. Next slide. Next slide. Now, tell your neighbor, guard the gates. Guard the gates. Tell your other neighbor, that one didn't hear you. Say, guard the gates. Guard the gates. Now, neighbor, ask them, what is a gate? We have 3 gates, or 3 different realms of gates, in which we either display the glory of God or we manifest the works of the enemy. The first one is your eye gates. Come on. Second one is your ear gates. Come on. And the last one is your mouth gates. With all 3 of these, we can glorify God or manifest the workings of the enemy. Let's read this. Let's read this. Grab Matthew 18 and 9. Matthew 18 and 9. Guard your gates. Matthew 18 and 9. Good? Yep. Matthew 18 and 9. And if thine eye offend thee, pluck it out. Cast it from thee. better for thee to enter into life with one eye rather than to have two eyes and be cast into hell's fire.
That's the word.
If your eye offends you, if your eyes are wandering, if you can't keep your eyes in your head, so to speak, and your eyes are going where they shouldn't go, the Bible is saying, pluck it out, because it's better for you to enter in heaven with one eye. He's saying you're going to get a new one anyway. Then to go into hell with both your eyes because you couldn't keep it together. Those are your eye gates. Your eye gates. Watch what you watch. Some of our favorite shows have demonic implications written all over. Some of the things that we have seen are disturbing us even today. Watch your eye gates. The second one is your ear gates. Mark 4 and 24. Mark 4 and 24. And I'd like for you to read with me. That way you gain more access into what is being said if you can find it and read it for yourself. I can just quote it off to you, but it's better if we read together. Mark 4 and 24. All right. And he said unto them, take heed what you hear. With the measures you meet, it shall be measured to you, and unto you that hear shall more be given. Simply means watch what you allow to be said to you. Because you are a gate, your ears are gates, and if you're one that likes to entertain gossip just to hear what they're going to say, then you become just as much a partaker of the gossip as the person that's spoken.
That's right.
Your ears are gates. Watch what you listen to. The music that we like to listen to, there is a message. There is not a song that has been made that is not trying to teach you something.
That's right.
There's not a show, sitcom, or movie that has been produced or published that's not trying to teach you something. And you can learn without really trying to learn. It's someone has caught the vision in that they now teach you another language just by you listening to music in your sleep. You're not sitting there trying to learn, you just put it on and go to sleep, and you'll get up knowing a modicum of another language. That's how important your ear gates are. And the last one is simply the mouth gate. Watch what you say. Watch what you allow to have said to you, because your mouth can put out bitter or sweet. You can say something that can destroy someone, or you can say something that can uplift someone. Life and death are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it will eat the fruit thereof. And sometimes you got to stop and think before you speak. You got to stop and take a breath. Sometimes when you get in a heated discussion, sometimes you just got to stop and breathe first. Because you'll say something and there's no way you can take it back after you've already said it. Have you ever said something that you wish you could take back? Yes. Have you ever tried to take it back and say, no, you meant that. No, you meant the first thing you said. Because they believe when you get angry, you start telling the truth. When you get angry, you tell them what you've been wanting to tell them for 5 years now. So God, I say that's true. Guard your mouth gates. All right, Aleister Crowley, we're about to get into it now. Aleister Crowley, they call this guy the most wicked man alive. He is the father of modern day Satanism, and he embodied the phrase, do as thou wilt. They coined this man the most wicked man alive. These are some of the books that he wrote. He was born in 1875, died in 1947. He was the foremost Satanist of the modern era. They know about the fact that he served Satan. He was so evil that his own mother called him the Beast. He called himself regularly by the name and by the number 666. Anybody know what that means? That's the mark of the beast and the number in his name. He founded the religious philosophy of Telemar, which enforced the idealist libertine rule of do as thou wilt. The British press named him as the most wicked man in the world. You see at the bottom there is Brother Jay-Z. On his shirt is "Do as thou wilt." On the hoodie he's wearing is "Do as thou." Why would he be wearing the saying of the most wicked man alive if there's nothing embedded in his music? Certainly he has studied it. Certainly he knows his teaching. Certainly he has subscribed to it. And you see him there with the sweatshirt on, "Do as thou wilt." This is a quote from Aleister Crowley. It said, "Lust, enjoy all things in a sense of rapture. Fear not that any God shall deny thee for this. I do not wish to argue that the doctrine of Jesus, they and they alone, have degraded the world to its present condition. I take it that Christianity is not only the cause, but the symptom of slavery. Wow. That religion they call Christianity, the devil they honor, they call God. I accept these definitions. So if he is to be an all intelligible to his age, and it is their God and their religion that I hate and that I will destroy." These are quotes from his book, World Tragedy. And he said, unborn. And he got another quote. He said, "One would go mad if he took the Bible seriously, but to take it seriously, one must already be mad." All right. One of the things that he taught was backmasking.
Yes, sir.
In one of his books, he says, "Let him train himself to think backwards by external means as set forth here in the following." And this is a quote out of his book. He said, "Let him learn to write backwards. Let him learn to walk backwards. Let him learn to practice speaking backwards. Let him learn to read backwards. Instead of saying, 'I am he,' let him say, 'E ma I.'" What he was saying, he was a magician. He was one of the foremost witches and warlocks in his time, and he practiced witchcraft and magician work. And he taught his students and his pupils how to talk backwards without alerting anyone to what they were saying. Have you ever tried to speak in pig Latin? Yeah. Stop it. That's a modicum of his teaching. You just put the first letter in the back, or the first participle in the back, and you say it that way. You're teaching yourself witchcraft when you practice that.
Jesus.
It is so deviant that this group back in my time, called Bone Thugs and Harmony, that's probably for everybody in here, they made an album cover. And the album cover was translated backwards. And in order to read what was on this album cover, you had to put it up to the mirror. And when you put it up to the mirror, you could read what was on the cover. But what you were reading wasn't even in English. It was a curse that they put on the album cover. You see, in witchcraft, if you wanted to curse somebody, you would send them mail written backwards. And the witches that sent it understood this teaching here. And they would send them mail that was written backwards, and in order for them to read it, they had to hold it up in the mirror and read it, and they read curses into their very own soul.
Wow.
Have you ever played the game Bloody Mary? You had to stand in the mirror and call Bloody Mary. If you did that, stop it. You're conjuring up a spirit. The Charlie game is, be careful with these, and I know this offline, be careful with these innocent games. Because they're all modicums of the Ouija board. And the Ouija board conjures up a spirit. That thing doesn't move just because your mind is powerful. You are conjuring up spirits. When you're calling Charlie to move the pencil, you're conjuring up a spirit. When you're playing Bloody Mary in the mirror, you're conjuring up a spirit, and you are giving them legal access into your life.
That's right.
You don't have to know what you're doing in order for it to be dangerous.
That's right.
That's the dangerous thing about the enemy. You don't have to know what you're doing. He wants you to do it in ignorance, but it does not diminish his legal access once you've done it. All right. I think we have a video. You're gonna have to listen. This is Beyonce's Sweet Dream. Don't play it yet. Now understand this. Every song does not have a subliminal message when it's played backwards, but there are some that do. And the ones that do, you have to take into account, they have learned the art of speaking backwards. They have learned the art of backmasking. Now I'm going to play this. I'm going to play this, and then depending on how you react to this will dictate if I play the rest of it. All right, let's see what we got. This is Beyonce's song. Understand this. It is impossible to speak intelligible words backwards when you spoken an intelligible word forward. It is impossible to put these words together backwards if she was singing a song forward. Only because she understands and has practiced the black magic teaching of Aleister Crowley. Now understand, when you're singing the song forward, you're also singing it backwards.
Oh my God.
You're saying forward whatever she was saying, but what she was saying, hell, Satan, and I follow Lucifer, I'm sorry for the end of my sins, I'm stuck in the fire, all that stuff, you're saying that too.
Jesus.
You don't know it. Your subconscious mind grabs it, but your conscious mind is singing what she's saying. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If it was innocent music, why put a message about Lucifer at all in the midst of it? Tell your neighbor, it gets worse.
It gets worse.
This is the last one I'm going to play. We're going to go back to the lesson.
Oh my God.
What happened?
I
is one of the most famous songs
Yeah.
with Christians.
Right.
They thought I was going to say famous songs. This song is famous even in the church.
Come on.
You got single women at church. All the single ladies, all the single ladies. Some of you can't even look at me right now because you're walking around singing. There's a reason why it's made so popular, because the more people that sing it forward are the more that are doing what? Yeah. Singing it backwards.
Oh, my goodness.
Hold on here. First part of this. You can't read it, can you? No. Okay. It's saying it's showing the rhythmic dances that they're doing is an occultic dance. It is so, and this is, I wish you could see it, but it is so crafty that the dance that they're doing backwards is an occultic dance
Oh, wow.
that has been done in the houses of Wicca. I don't know how in the world they achieved this. This whole video, they're playing it backwards, but their movements and everything they're doing is actually demonic dances to where how they called up demonic spirits.
It's up front.
Can you see that? Okay, let's see. I want you to pay attention. It's backwards, but pay attention to the movements. All of these movements mean something, but the video is backwards. He don't want us to play it.
Yeah, you struck out.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Words up. They want the words up.
I'll try to get it fixed and we'll play that one tomorrow. Let's move on. All right. It's all right. It's all right. This is why we're here. This is why we're here. It's not just music. Music is one of the few things that enter into both cortexes of your mind and can disturb your reality without your permission. Music is one of the few entities, one of the very few entities that once it's played, it can interrupt both sides. Normally when something happens, it goes into one side or the other. You ever heard the phrase that they look up and write and they're about to talk to you, they're about to tell you a lie? Because they're accessing the creative part of their mind. If they're talking to you and they just look straight or look to the left, they're accessing their memory side. All right, so you ask somebody a question and they do like this, you know they're accessing the creative part of their mind. They may or may not be lying. Give our disclaimer. Everyone out of here. Every wife, I have a whole list. Sit down right there, let me. Every boyfriend, every girlfriend, they'll be sitting them down at the table, watching where their eyes go. But music is one of the few things that can enter into your mind and disturb both sides without your permission. This is why you are affected by music, whether or not you give it permission to do so. This is why advertisers pay millions of dollars for a 30-second slot in a Super Bowl or some important event, because they know millions of people will be watching and they have prayed over that jingle for it to be successful. They have called up and conjured up spirits for these jingles that they're playing to be successful, and they know they have millions of people watching, and they'll pay millions of dollars for a 15, 30-second slot. Just so you can watch it for that little bit of time. Have you ever watched a McDonald's commercial and you all of a sudden got hungry? Yes. You ever watch a Coke commercial, you don't even drink Coke, and got thirsty? Because it's not that it's enticing, it's the jingle. There's hardly any commercials made, any movies made without some type of jingle, some type of melody that's being played into your hearing. You ever got off the elevator and hummed the elevator music all the way to the hotel? Music is so important, it teaches you things that you don't even want to learn. And I do this at every function we have, so if you already done it, then you just have to do it again. You know the end of this song, I want you to finish it for me. The best part of waking up
It's Folgers in your cup.
How many of y'all bought the Folgers CD? Nationwide.
It's on your side.
Everybody in here knew those songs. When did you sit down and learn the Nationwide song? When it came on to you for what, that 15 seconds, got in your brain, and you'll be 99 years old and you'll remember both of those songs. Music is so powerful, we learn our ABCs about music. That's right. Try to say ABCs without saying it.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G,
You say it. You try to do it without singing. A, B, G, O.
You have a rhythm.
You're not in melody, but you're in rhythm. It's still musical. It's still musical. Music is so powerful that it teaches you things that you don't even know. Let's move on. I got a few more minutes. The enemy knows that his time is short, and he has devised a plan to get his Antichrist message into the hearts of the people subconsciously without a fight, and has sent out false prophets operating in the spirit of the Antichrist to subvert the faith and deceive many. This move was established by artists that began to come out and talk about this Antichrist message, put it to a rhythm and a beat, and they caused it to go into the very hearts of the listeners and to influence and affect the way people act, feel, and even dress. That's right. Antichrist message is being pumped into our youth spirits because they fall asleep with their iPods playing. Then they come to church and can't even feel the presence of God, because the presence of God cannot dwell in the same place with the enemy. All right, let's go. This is important. This is important. This is a god, little g god named Baphomet. Baphomet is a god of no sex. He claims to be both male and female in his parts. Baphomet is an enigmatic goat-headed figure found in several instances in history of occults, from the Knights of Templar to the Middle Ages, even to the Freemasons of the 19th century, the modern current of occultism. Baphomet is a universal symbol of Satanism and is worshipped by Satan. He is half man, half goat, half male, half female. Remember this, Baphomet. If you will look there in the top middle, that is who? Rihanna. And she's throwing up the sign, this is not peace. This is the sign for the goat head Baphomet. Whenever you see someone throwing up this sign, they're giving homage and symbolism to Baphomet that they are serving him. The enemy always wants a sign that you're on his side. So when you see this, it is not peace. They are serving the goat head Baphomet. If you look over to the right, that's Madonna at the VMA Awards, and she's surrounded by half men, half goats worshiping her. That was Madonna. This was at the VMA Awards. Bottom left, I think that is that's either Iggy Azalea or Katy Perry And she actually got lifted up while they are worshiping her, and there are goat heads also in that crowd. Now, all of these things are done. If you guys watch the awards that they give out to these guys, they are always performing occultism in the awards. If you're watching, watch next time.
No.
You shouldn't be watching them. Y'all were looking at me strange when I said that. But next time you're watching, and I'm not dumb, I know I'm in church, but I know y'all watch the VMA awards and the Emmys and all of that. They are going to do occultism. They are performing rituals right before your very eyes. Right before your very eyes. Once again, this is her alter ego, Sasha Fierce. She has an alter ego called Sasha Fierce that comes up on her when she's on stage. If you look at what she's holding, it is a handlebar. Okay. It's a handlebar with a goat head Baphomet on it. It is her bathing suit in the shape of the goat head Baphomet. Meaning that she is the vehicle in which he accesses the earth realm.
Wow.
Through her eye gates, her ear gates, and her mouth gate does the Godhead Baphomet access the earth realm. If you look at the black bathing suit she has on at the bottom, that is another symbolic suit that she has on with the goat head Baphomet on it. And you see there at the bottom, she's throwing up the symbol. What's that symbol called? Rocco is the rock sign that Jay-Z made it popular. They're throwing up the sign in all the concerts. All of his people, all of his artists are doing this, throwing up the sign in the concerts. And so much until everybody in the audience starts doing this in the concerts. You'll even see pictures of them throwing up the pyramid. This is a pyramid. Throwing up the pyramid, placing it over one eye. The third eye we talked about earlier, the eye of illumination, the eye of Osiris. They're throwing up this, is the symbolic of them channeling the Antichrist into the earth. Putting it over their eye means they are enlightened or in the Illuminati. And let me straighten out the Illuminati, that hip-hop artists are not a part of the Illuminati. They are puppets being used by the agenda of the Illuminati. Jay-Z and Beyonce don't go to the Illuminati meetings and have input. But they represent what the Illuminati wants to do to society, and that is to dumb us down and to have us worshiping the mark and the image and the name of the beast. They are puppets, they are pawns in the big scheme of things. So in the concerts, when they say, throw your hands up, and everybody starts doing this, they're yielding their members as to unrighteousness, and they're channeling spirits, and they have gone to the concerts, and they bring all these demonic spirits back into the home.
Oh, wow.
And then the parents wonder, what happened to my innocent little baby? You let her go to the concert. You let her go to an ungodly place to appease her, to keep her from acting out. How do you know? You might want to let them act out, because if the devil get a hold of them, they're going to do more than just act out. If you are a Christian and you are a young person, you should not be going to parties. You should not be going to house parties, club parties, hotel parties, anything that is playing Antichrist music, you should not be going to. All the parents saying amen. All the kids like, Reverend Shy, you need to hurry up. Parents, you can't tell them don't go to the club when you just came from the club. You can't tell them, you can't go to that high school party and you got your clothes already ironed and creased, getting ready to go out and have a good time. See how the parents got quiet. Few more. All right. Like I said earlier, the enemy will always require a sign. There will always be some type of symbolism or signs of who this place really belongs to, or who the vessel really belongs to. Symbolism is the language of the mysteries. By symbols, men have sought to communicate to each other through thoughts that have transcend the limitations of language. In a single figure, a symbol may both reveal and conceal, which to the ignorant the figure remains inscrutable. That was a quote by Manly P. Hall in The Secret Teachings of All Ages. All right, you see there, that is the sign on the dollar bill. That is the sign on our currency. And the word across the top is annuit quoceptus. Annuit means to nod assent, to favor, or to smile upon. Quoceptus means undertaking, endeavors, or beginnings. So to put them together means he favors our undertakings. Implied here is in the saying, this is where you have to ask yourself, is God pleased with our undertakings as a nation? Is God pleased with the way that this nation is going? Is God pleased with right being called wrong and wrong being called right? Is God pleased with our children growing up at an earlier age and now instead of dating at 18, they're now dating at 12? Is God pleased with sex in the middle school? I'll get there. Is God pleased with sex in the middle school? Is God pleased with in the daycare they're giving doll babies to little boys because they want them to be acceptance of all things? Is God pleased with them teaching our children that homosexualism and lesbianism is okay? It's not an alternative lifestyle. They have just been suppressed and they are likening it unto the civil rights movement and that they want rights. Is God pleased with the way that our nation is going? Is God pleased with the political system and the judicial system and you can't trust anybody to bring you a glass of water? So who is pleased? Who is this one that they're saying he favors our undertaking? The little g God of this world is pleased with the chaos that is coming over this place.
That's right.
So on our currency, you see the Illuminati symbol, you see Novo Ordo Seclorum, which simply translates into New World Order. This is on the dollar bill. You also see the pyramid and the all-seeing eye on top. This just symbolizes it's the pyramid of Nimrod, the Tower of Babel that has not yet been finished. You see the cap is not connected to the top. That means the pyramid has not yet been finished. The eye in the middle means that an illuminated one, or the Antichrist, is going to come and finish building the tower that Nimrod started. Now this is on the dollar bill. Let's go. All right, there's always going to be a sign, always going to be a sign, always going to be a sign of worship. All right, anybody know who this group is?
No, I told you. I said like this.
What happened to the hip hop stuff? This is earth, wind, and fire. It didn't start with hip hop. The subliminal messages and the meaning, the signs and the symbols did not start with hip hop. Hip hop is just a carry on or an overflow of what started back in the day. Brother named Maurice White went after the calendar of Osiris. He went to Egypt and learned the ways of the Egyptian gods, and he brought the influence back to the States. And he began to form this group, earth, wind, and fire, the three elements. And he prayed and he meditated over the music so that it could gain influence. It has gained so much influence that there are some songs that you dare not play because some of us older folks would quicken.
Yes, Lord.
And it'll bring us back. You will hear it, it'll bring you back. You'll remember what you were doing. You remember the kind of hairstyle you had. You remember the dress you had on. You remember the boyfriend you were dating just by hearing the melody in that song. That's why I didn't bring any of that music.
Don't quicken him.
I didn't bring any of that.
Don't do it.
It will be a shutdown mode. One particular song is the one called September.
And last song.
Do you remember? That song has so much influence. I want you guys to go and YouTube Kirk Franklin September. Kirk Franklin remade the song. Same beat, same rhythm, just change the words. But how many know just because you change the words don't make it gospel?
That's right.
The spirit of the artist follows the artist. So the spirit on that music is still with that music.
That's right.
Just because he said Jesus on it don't mean that Jesus is pleased. But him remaking September.
I was like, I said it's a weather.
When Prince died, I learned something new about the church. I did. When Prince died, I learned that the church is stuck in idol worship. Church folks were mourning and idolizing Prince.
Yep.
They even started putting out, well, Prince was saved. Prince was about to preach. And I found you couldn't say anything about Prince because church folks were idolizing him. They were idolizing, never mind. They could dress like a woman. We just skip right over that. Never mind that he changed his name to a symbol. Never mind, he made some of the most sexual. But church folks were idolizing him, and you couldn't say anything about Prince. I'm scared now. I mean, look. Everybody, y'all waiting on the hip hop, but I gotta get you to the hip hop. Y'all won't be as hard on them when I get to the hip hop, because I done got a y'all record. Idolizing Prince. And there's a back mask. There's a back mask of some of his songs. Purple Rain. Prince was what you call a chalice. Him and Michael Jackson, they were chalices. They were channels for the Antichrist. It was no wonder that they were different than most. That their dances gained popularity above all else. That when they sung, people were crying and fainting and falling. People in China didn't even understand English. All he had to do was come on stage.
That is true.
They were crying and all of their emotions, and they were fainting. And they had to line up ambulances every time Michael Jackson and Prince performed somewhere.
Come on now.
Because they were chalices for the Antichrist. They had influence. That they were so influential it didn't matter what they did, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. It had worldwide influence behind it. Even so much until when they died, people are still worshiping them. People still have Michael Jackson idols and Michael Jackson albums and Prince idols and Prince albums in their homes. Talking about Christians. Because they were chalices channeling their energy. They were solely used by the enemy to gain influence into the church. The world loved them because the world's supposed to love them. But it's something else from the church. I saw videos of a church singing Purple Rain. They changed the wording around a little bit, but they played the same chord, same song, and they had nerve to try to praise the Lord on that song. So I tell you, neighbor, that was all flesh.
That was all flesh.
There was no spirit. It was a spirit in there, but it wasn't the Holy Spirit. You go YouTube it. Purple Rain. Church played that. Played Purple Rain, and they worshiped off of Purple Rain. OMG. All right, let's go. Let me get out y'all record collection. Channelers of our time, your time. You see her laying down. This is at another VMA award. They all sing I on her chest. That is, they all sing I on her chest. The top right She has on a witch's robe with the upside down cross on.
Yes.
The upside down cross is a universal symbol of Satanism. You know, our cross is fixed a certain way. But they fixed their cross upside down to where it's like this. That is a witch's robe she has on. You see at the bottom, I guess they said she had plastic surgery. That's what she used to look like, and that's what she looks like now. It will be my son. This is our album. Look at this. No, we're almost there. This is our album. This is one of our album covers. You see, she has 4 arms here, and she has goddess going across the back. That's not the bad thing. The bad thing is that she is symbolizing the goddess Diana of the church of Ephesus, which was a sex goddess. That in Ephesus, one of the main jobs of the church in Ephesus was to combat the goddess Diana because they were performing sexual acts in the temple. It was how they worshiped, by having strange sex. So you were hearing a lot of her lyrics, strange sexual innuendos. And this is how she channels that spirit. And then when our children are listening to it, that spirit that's on the music is following them, and then we find they are having mood swings, and they're wanting to do things that they didn't want to do before they subjected themselves to that spirit. This lady here is called Lady Gaga. Now, I used to think she was just weird. She wears a lot of strange clothes, a lot of masks. But upon further investigation, there is a method to her madness. She never dons herself in any outfit that she has not first researched the significance of putting it on.
Oh, wow.
If you see what she has on the left, she is all pale, and it looks like the Walking Dead. But on the right, you see she's throwing up a sign at another award show. She's throwing up another sign. This is the symbol for 666. It's a hand sign, it's sign language. But this is the universal sign for 666. And every now and then you'll see them do this, this, or this. Because the enemy always requires a sign that he's being worshipped. Remember, he's trying to get the worship that he gave to God. So this is how he sneakily and craftily gets the worship, by having his artists or those he have out there throwing up signs. And what better time to throw up all these signs than at an award show with millions of people are watching?
Are these people aware? I know some people don't know that her music is great for them. You know, sometimes. Do they actually know that they're doing this?
Absolutely. We're going to get there. You will hear, I'm going to show you some quotes of them actually profaning that they have sold their souls to the devil. You see, it's not the lyrics, it's the influence that they give to the lyrics. I don't think Michael Jackson wrote any of his songs, or not many of them, but he put so much of his childish influence in it until it didn't matter who wrote it. If he sung it, it was going to be popular. Right. And watch this, the enemy will not allow any of those artists to be in the limelight if they don't first give up something. There's not going to be one famous secular artist that has not given up something to be famous. And they may do it out of ignorance. Oh, I just sell my soul. I just pray this prayer or do this chant. It may be a little ignorance involved, but ignorance is no excuse.
That's right.
He's not going to allow them to be out there unless they first give up something. So away with that, it's just innocent music. They gave up something.
Yes.
They don't have to curse for it to be derogatory. Yes, ma'am. We're going to go there too. There are some gospel artists that have crossed the line.
That's right.
That's how we know we're in the end times.
Like, once they go that way, can they come back once they know that they're doing wrong?
Once they have sold their soul to the devil, they belong to him. Blasphemy is one of the sins that is the sin that cannot be forgiven. Once they have sold their soul to the devil, now I'm not the judge and I can't say whether or not God will accept them. But I know that once they have sold their soul, they have given up legal rights to him to do what he does. Now who knows, we may get to heaven and see some of those that were doing some of this. I don't know, I'm not the judge, but I know that that's not something that they want to play with, that anybody wants to play with. We pray that they can be saved, that they can be changed, but we don't know. Who else had a hand up? Thought I saw another hand. All right, that's Rihanna. It ain't that bad. She got it covered. This is Rihanna. Oh, turn it, baby. Turn it, baby. They got it now. Well, I just talk about that. Rihanna is another one that has profaned to give up something to have the notoriety that she has. That angel you saw there was a spirit. That is the spirit, the Nephilim, that has inhabited her body. And she is showing her homage to that Nephilim by having it tatted on her chest, or on the lower parts of her chest. The part where you saw inside of the pyramid was another sign of worship, that they show their signs of worship. She's locked inside of the unfinished pyramid. That was also at a VMA Awards. Wow. And she has given her homage to him by showing him worship. Yep. There's a whole section about tattoos too. When we get there, you're going to have to really pay attention. You're going to have to really pay attention. We might not get that far tonight. I got a few more minutes. I want to bring a few more minutes. Give me a few more minutes. This is what we spoke of earlier. That's at a Jay-Z concert. You see everybody throwing up the pyramid. Everybody in that concert is channeling spirits. Whenever you lend your members as instruments of unrighteousness, you fall subject to the spirit of which that artist is telling. He's telling everybody to throw your hands up. And everybody in that concert is channeling spirits, Nephilim spirits. You see down at the bottom, he has a clothing line called Rockaware. Rockaware has been demonically inspired. If you own Rockaware, you need to burn it, get rid of it, bring it to the altar. That's one of my homework assignments for you. Rockaware, what's the other? Machiavelli, Trump Fit, Baby Fat.
I used to wear those.
Sean John.
I used to wear those.
There's a whole section on clothes. Man. Baby Fat was created by the wife of Russell Simmons, who is a known witch. They had a statue. They worship Buddha. You don't believe me? Google it. He has a statue in his basement to where him and his wife go in there and they worship Buddha. And Baby Fat is something she conjured up out of her time in Buddha's face. They have clothes, they have perfume, they even have a credit card.
Yeah, they do.
Yep. All right, come on. Oh. Lil Wayne, this is his quote. He says, "Sold my soul to the devil and I made a profit." Up here, here's his clothing line, Trump Fit. You see that? There is the pyramid with the all-seeing eye in the middle. One cross right side up, one cross upside down. Here he has a tattoo of the all-seeing eye being torn on his chin. If he opened his mouth, he got a tattoo on the inside of his lip. His face is tatted all the way around his hairline, all the way up and down. And I'm not going to go there tonight, but we're going to show you the spirit behind tattoos. Katy Perry. She said, "I wanted to be like Amy Grant, the Amy Grant of music." Amy Grant is a gospel artist. She said, but it didn't work out, so I sold my soul to the devil. So y'all know a lot of these artists started in church.
That's right.
All these artists, the gift of God come without repentance. So they have gifts, but they have perverted the gift, and they allow the enemy to come in and challenge himself through them. All right, these are also at award shows. She actually, they tell me, she actually levitated here in the midst of the fire. And I think that's the same award show at the top where she's performing a ritual there. This is her album cover, Killer Queen. Remember this, Baphomet. She's symbolically sitting in the same position as the goat head Baphomet. Symbolically sitting in the same position. Remember, he's half man, half woman, half goat, half man. And she's symbolically sitting in the same place, symbolizing that she is a god. All right, turn. Nicki Minaj, we're almost there. A couple more slides. Nicki Minaj has an alter ego called Roman. Is a little boy. A little psychotic boy is her alter ego. A little psychotic boy. If you've ever heard her rap, she sounds like a man. She is hardcore, she curses like a man, and she raps like a man because she says her alter ego, Roman, comes out. She says, Roman is a crazy boy who lives with me, and he says the things I don't want to say. I asked him to leave, but he can't. He's here for a reason. People conjured him up, now he won't leave. This is a quote. And you see the bottom left, she's doing what? The enemy always requires a sign. Now what got me is she's standing beside the boat. And she's donned in a post robe. Now red in Catholicism is symbolic of the blood and the Virgin Mary. But she has desecrated even Catholicism. She's not a priest. She's not a priestess. But she's walking in, she walked in a robe, and that was for performance. But the symbolism remains. And she has lyrics. I think I put one of them up here because the rest of them I couldn't get around the bleeps. Let's see what we got. Oh. This is 50 Shades of Grey. Put your glasses on. 50 Shades of Grey. When this movie came out, half the church, first they went and read the book. Then they went and saw the movie. Then they came back wanting to do strange things that they saw on the movie. Now, I don't encourage you to go, some of you already seen it, that's why y'all looking at me funny. But I don't encourage a believer to go watch 50 Shades of Grey. There is so much sexual, deviant, demonic worship going on in those sex scenes. Untethered sexual acts. He doing things to her that you shouldn't do. She is beginning to like the things that he's doing to her. And Christians all over the world were saying, woo, 50 Shades of Grey. Girl, you ought to read that book. They started book clubs with the 50 Shades of Grey. This wasn't the world, this was believers. This was believers. They were performing sexually deviant, and they knew, the writer, the publisher, whoever came up with this concept, understood something about the deviant side of people's sexuality. That somewhere embedded inside of some people's sexuality is the need for bondage. the need for strange sexual acts, the need to do things that are explicit and are not right for a believer to do. Tapped into the dark side of the sexuality. It wasn't for the children, but the children are affected because the parents brought that spirit home.
That's right. That's right.
Your little nieces and nephews are feeling something on you because you went and watched that movie. It's not that you watched it. You watched it and got excited about it. Posted on Facebook about it. Called all your friends about it. I couldn't believe all the posts from believers. And they were putting up all exciting emojis. 50 Shades of Grey. Woo! Exciting faces and all this stuff about this movie. Because it tapped into the dark side that we shouldn't even have. Come on. I done lost you, so I'm going to go ahead and shut down. Instruments of unrighteousness. The devil can't create your worship, but he can take the credit for your worship. He wants you to use your members to worship him. He knows that if he said, I'm the Antichrist, and I want you to worship me and take my mark, he'll get a quick no, and hopefully he'll take off running. So by lifting up your hands and dancing to this inspired music, you are using your members to worship him. He causes or deceives all to worship him. So what he does is put an Antichrist message in the song and cause you to use your members and your limbs to worship him. This is sexploitation, that you are being exploited by listening to sexually explicit music. R. Kelly, absolutely. Y'all know those people out there? Y'all got those albums? These people sing sexually explicit songs, and they are more popular with this age group. With this age group.
That's right.
Yes, ma'am.
Young lady beside the bottom row, second from the right. The black girl. That's the one.
The one in the side, the one with the orange hair.
I'm one in the middle. I can't remember how to highlight it.
I believe that there's Remy Ma.
No.
Kevin Shell. And she had like... That's Remy Ma. Well, I got another picture of Remy Ma hanging on a cross. That's not her?
I forgot. I can't remember.
I don't know who that is. I thought it was Remy Ma. Yes, ma'am. How was Jamie Foxx in the Illuminati if he was in the movie Annie? That's how they get it wrong.
Annie.
But if you listen to his albums, there's a whole bunch of sexual things, a whole bunch of adult things in his music. They know that they put them in kids' shows or put them in the limelight in front of kids, that they'll begin to ascribe to them. And they'll follow their influence. That's what they did with Miley Cyrus. She used to be called Hannah Montana. She turned 14, 15 and went crazy. Now she out there twerking and dancing and all kinds of stuff. All right, let's go. Where I was there, I'm losing you, so I gotta get there. And then we're gonna be done after this. We're gonna go into this a little bit more, but trust me when I tell you Your child should not have these albums in their iPod. Trust me when I tell you, they should not be playing any of this music in their iPod. All right, calm down. We're almost there. This is called, this lady is named Dage Loaf. I have to read you these lyrics. Her name, anybody don't know who Dage Loaf is? Everybody in middle school should know. All right, calm down. No, I said, who knows who she is? All the kids know who she is. Listen to me. I'm losing you, so I'm going to let you go, but listen to me. I asked my daughter. I did inventory. I know I got to cheat my daughter, so I can do that. I don't need your permission to put her on the spot.
That's right.
But when I was putting this together, I asked my daughter, well, who is this? Boom. Who is that? Boom. Well, who is that? Boom. What they saying? This, and this. I said, where you get all this from? She said, school. They are playing this stuff in school. You remember when we took tests, everybody had to be quiet? You couldn't have anything on. We didn't have no phone when I was taking tests, but if we did have a phone, they would make you cut it off and put it to the side. While they're taking tests now, they let them choose what music to play while they're taking a test. While they're taking tests, they're allowing music to be played in the classroom. While they are dancing, they have dance teams that are dancing to sexually explicit music. I told my daughter, you might have to get off that dance team.
Yes, sir.
She brought a song home and was dancing to it. I listened to the lyrics and they was talking about bumping and doing this and what I want to do and what you going to do. I said, wait a minute. I'm like, but that's what they dancing to. I said, that's what they dancing to.
That's right.
But the ungodliness in the school system has reached a paramount high.
Yes, sir.
Because she don't play that mess at home, but she knows it all. And I said, why in the world do you know that? I done been through your phone. That stuff ain't in there. But they are indoctrinated even in the schools.
That's true.
With this stuff right here.
That's right.
Yeah, because you've been talking, no more talking. While I make us a drink and I don't drink. While you're not looking, I pour some out in the sink. Baby, I guess chemistry is true, but I don't know if it's the Hennessy or you. I heard you eat too, and I'm feeling that. Calm down. I hope your girlfriend feeling me too. I'm her real good right next to you. Then look at you like this finna be me and you and Hennessy and you. Couple candles, no TV reporting bad news. It's just me, Hennessy, and you.
That's not taking up. That's not a way. That's not like. That's a remix.
She put herself out there. That's all right. It has a profound effect when a female is singing this. She's talking about having a threesome.
Yep.
Okay, so what would you think if she said that? Even though she didn't write it, what would you think if she said that?
She didn't say it at all. Like, she didn't write it. That was Lil Wayne record.
Yeah, but
Who cares?
she said it.
She said what he wrote.
Lil Wayne said what he
He just said what he wrote. Yeah, like say
It's in her song.
It's in her song. Yeah.
Plus, it don't take up for her.
Even though he
Now, I got more. If y'all don't like that one, I got plenty more. If that one don't suit you, I got worse. There's worse. And watch this. You see what happens when the enemy creates an antichrist superstar? You will defend him at all costs. You will defend them right, wrong, ugly, or indifferent. Let's go. One more. This dude named Michael used to buy motorcycles. Blank bigger than a tower. I ain't talking about Eiffel. Real country, blank. Let me play with his rifle. Blank put his blank to sleep. Now he calling me NyQuil. Now that bang, 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 blank, I let him hit because he slang cocaine. He tossed my salad blank, like his name no name. When we done, I make him buy. That all right?
Yep. No. Yeah, that was right. That's good.
Now this is Nicki Minaj, who calls herself the Black Barbie. The lyrics that she spits gets even worse than that. And understand, this is demonic at its core.
Yes.
Why is somebody singing a song about, and these are children listening to these lyrics. I probably could have quoted it while I was singing. Every time I said blank, the laughs got louder because you know what the blank meant. They don't put you out there. Y'all leave her alone. Leave her alone. Oh, what y'all talking about? Leave her alone. Because y'all know some other stuff too. She ain't by herself. This is why we're here.
Yes.
All right, well, I think this is going to be enough. Let's see the next one. This is going to be it for tonight. Then I got the weekend. He said, I usually go sleeping alone. This time around, bring your friend with you. But we ain't really going to sleep at all. Talking about having a threesome. Talking about having, that's all. Now this is the stuff that I could put on the PowerPoint. But this is the stuff that our children are listening to. It is not okay. It is not all right. It is not something. And we wonder why our kids are growing up. I haven't even gotten the entertainment industry yet. We're just scratching the surface. And we wonder why our kids are growing up so fast. Why they know more now. My 7-year-old knows more than I knew when I was 14. And they know more now at an earlier age. I was 17, 18 before I learned a lot of stuff. But they know all this stuff right now. Because that's what's being pumped into their hearing. That's what's been pumped into their spirit. And God is not going to dwell in a place that's already occupied by them. So we can have them coming to church, singing on the praise team, ushering, doing whatever. But until we get to the root of it. You see, the enemy wants everyone to keep coming to church. Because he needs to raise up some Antichrist superstars in the church. Because he's coming back to try to take the church over. But what we need is some real, live, authentic deliverance. Even at an early age. No one in here is too young to be delivered from the pull of this mess. And I'm gonna stop here. We scratched the surface. We're going deeper tomorrow. There's a lot more we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about depression. We're going to talk about pornography, masturbation, tattoos, piercing. We're gonna go there. We're gonna go there. We're gonna go a lot deeper. Tonight I just had to get you there. We had to read a lot and I had to get you to a good place. But we're going to talk on a real level tomorrow night. So if you're coming back tomorrow night, tie up your boots. Because we're gonna go there. We're gonna go there. But what I need from you, I got homework assignment. Every good teacher gives homework assignment.
Why are you doing it?
I am going to open up the altar. We're going to pray.